On the night before Nightmare Night, Applejack was busy, making caramel apples with her sister. While searching around the farm, Applejack comes across her sister who had been murdered, before she's also attacked and killed by some monster with the voice of a child. In a flashback, taking place years ago, an Earth pony filly is curious about unicorns, so her father decides to take her into town to show her the unicorn he works for who owns a candy shop. A week before Nightmare Night, all of Ponyville's children were busy helping Pinkie Pie decorating Ponyville. Among them were Diamond, Tiara, and Silver Spoon, who got into an argument with Applebloom and her two friends, Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle, about the Nightmare Night tradition of leaving candy for Nightmare Moon. After finding out that Diamond and Silver never left any candy for Luna last year, they end up making a bet on who can get more candy on Nightmare Night. Pinkie Pie tries to get the five to cancel their bet, saying how important it is to leave candy for Princess Luna. Later, while decorating Golden Oak's library, shows them an old book called Ye Old Tricks and Treats that contains several Nightmare Night stories and several recipes for different types of candy treats. However, the book is torn in half due to Pinkie and Twilight fighting over it, causing several pages containing candy recipes to fall out. Thinking that Diamond and Silver are gonna cheat, Sweetie Belle steals the recipes and convinces the rest of her friends to make their own candy so they can win the bet. In another flashback, it shows the father again, this time showing his daughter the town and the store he delivers to. The owner, who took over the shop after his grandmother passed away, proceeds to feed the filly sweets. These are revealed to have been drugged, which knock her out long enough for the shop's owner to brutally attack and kill off her father. On the night of Nightmare Night, Fluttershy is shown hiding inside her home. When she starts hearing knocking at her door, she goes to investigate, only to find no one at the door. Suddenly, she heard her bunny Angel let out a scream. As she tried to comfort him, Angel jumped up and bit her heart before running upstairs. She started hearing a knock again, but this time, when she answered, she saw a bunch of lit pumpkins in her front yard, followed soon by the sound of a child laughing. This scared Fluttershy enough to try and escape her home. She ran upstairs into her room, only to find Angel Bunny being eaten by a bunch of bizarre-looking ponies with glowing eyes and razor-sharp teeth. One of the ponies tries to attack Fluttershy, but she bites it on the nose and flies out her window. She quickly flies to Ponyville to try and find Twilight, only to find the entire town in chaos, as houses were burning and ponies were being attacked by the same monstrous ponies. She quickly comes across Golden Oak's library, where she desperately knocks on the door to try and get Twilight's attention. After that, she quickly flees to the ever-free forest. Once finally settled down, she quickly realized a piece of skin from the pony she bit tasted like candy. In another flashback, it reveals the filly has been kidnapped by the candy maker, and he was forcing her to taste test all the new types of treats. Eventually, the filly asks for something else besides candy. The candy maker gives her what appears to be meat, which was then revealed to be a piece of her father's flesh. On the day before Nightmare Night, Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo are in the kitchen of Sugar Cube Corner making candy from the recipes found in the book, along with the help of Pinkie Pie, who was oblivious to what they were doing. Eventually, Twilight comes in, and pursued by Pinkie, decides to help the Crusaders with making candy after hearing about what they were doing in the kitchen. When Twilight enters, she finds out that they are making candy for the bet using pages from the book. Upon realizing what pages they used, both Pinkie and Twilight began frantically gathering up all the treats out of fear of something called the candymare. Scootaloo then asks who that is, and Twilight tells the story of the candymare. In the story, a filly who lived with a poor but loving family was taken away from her family by a candy maker named Lemon Drop, who can't taste anything sweet, so he started kidnapping children and killing their parents to use the children as taste testers for his confections. The filly in question that he kidnapped, however, somehow managed to avoid death. In another flashback, the candy maker noticed that the filly didn't die after feeding her candy laced with magic that actually made her want to eat non-stop. However, when he fails to fulfill the filly's request for food, she ends up breaking out and kills the candy maker to consume him instead. After the flashback, Twilight continued her story. Lemon Drop was never found, and after that several other unicorns had gone missing. It wouldn't be until a day later their remains were discovered. They believed the monster that lurks in the night is attacking and eating ponies. They then created this anniversary for the missing ponies into Nightmare Night, where parents would dress up their kids as monsters to hide them and leave out treats for the monsters to take. Eventually, the candy mare was stopped and banished completely by Princess Luna, who became the hero of Nightmare Night, and that's why she's given treats every year to honor her. Twilight explains the recipes were made by Lemon Drop and are forbidden. So Twilight decides to leave the candy at the statue of Nightmare Moon in the Everfree Forest. In the middle of the night, the group makes their way through the Everfree Forest before finally coming across the statue. They leave the candy near the statue and leave just as a storm was forming. Suddenly, the candy in the bag started shifting as laughter started emerging from the bag. The statue is then hit and destroyed by a bolt of lightning as a mysterious figure rises from the crater. The next day, Nightmare Night, Scootaloo, and Sweetie Belle race over to Sweet Apple Acres to tell Applebloom the bad news about not being able to go trick-or-treating. But when they get there, they find the place deserted. They go over to the barn and hear what sounds like the voice of Applebloom along with the blurred view of her inside. She tries to get those fillies to enter the barn for caramel apples, but the two refuse, claiming that Applejack wouldn't be so pleased if they did so. Just then, Applejack's silhouette appears, also stating they should have some apples inside the barn with them, insisting it's alright. However, Scootaloo isn't convinced and wants to view Applebloom out from the darkness of the barn. As she does so, much to the other Cutie Mark Crusaders' relief, they take note that Applebloom seems different. Upon further inspection, she's missing her eyes and her entire body from the neck down is vanished, revealing one of the candy mare's appendages is in control of the head. Before they can become her victims, Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle flee Sweet Apple Acres in search of Twilight Sparkle in hopes that she'll know what to do. Later that night, Twilight Sparkle, along with Pinkie, were busy getting ready for Nightmare Night when Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle quickly show up and told her about what they saw. Twilight then decides in order to warn everyone, they should convince an authority of what's happened, so they go off to find Mayor Mare. Meanwhile, Diamond, Tiara, and Silver Spoon were getting ready to go trick-or-treating, but after just arriving at Carousel Boutique, they are confronted by a mysterious mare whose entire body seems to be made out of candy, reveals herself as the Candy Mare. Diamond, Tiara, and Silver Spoon stop to mock her, making a sarcastic comment like, "Nice costume," before laughing at her appearance. Despite this, she smiles at the fillies before proceeding to pick up Silver Spoon and consume her whilst Diamond Tiara watches in horror. Candy Mare is heard repeating the phrase in Diamond's voice before she kills her off as well. Afterwards, Rarity finally answers the door only to find no one except a lone piece of candy, which she decides to take and eat before returning back inside. Twilight and her friends finally locate Mayor Mare, who was at a costume party in Times Square. They attempt to tell Mayor Mare about Candy Mare, but no one believes them. Just as everyone decided to go back to partying, suddenly, all the lights and music shut off and large fog covers the area. Candy Mare finally makes her appearance and begins a massacre, killing several ponies. Twilight, along with several other unicorns, manage to quickly grab a hold of her and rip her into pieces with their magic. After, however, the Candy Mare's remains started moving, as if trying to reform themselves back into candymare. In order to prevent her from coming back, everyone decides to eat the candy, ensuring she doesn't come back. Afterwards, after sending Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle to bed, Twilight and Pinkie finally settle down, only for Spike to come in missing pieces of his flesh and collapse onto the floor. Rarity came in, her body now made of marshmallow. She reveals she was the one who attacked Spike. After that, Pinkie suddenly starts feeling weird before falling over dying, only for her body to pop open and reveal a new monstrous form of her to be made out of candy. In a panic, Twilight quickly rushes upstairs to find Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo, only to find that both of them have also transformed into candy ghouls. As the monsters begin to surround her, Twilight begins to transform as well, before becoming a candy ghoul, just as they were about to get her. In Canterlot, Princess Luna was woken up by a knock at the door. She goes to answer only to find an army of candy ghouls, a pile of dead bodies in the candymare, now fully assembled again, standing on top of the pile of corpses staring down at Luna.